Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to share with you today some audiobook recommendations that I have. So I am a huge audiobook reader. I listen to them on the way to work and back. I have roughly a 30-minute commute each way, so I have a lot of time to listen to audiobooks that I wouldn't be able to use for reading otherwise, and that has been a huge just kind of sense of joy for me, or bringer of joy for me, because it makes commuting not so bad. Sometimes in the morning when I don't want to get up and go to work, I'm excited to get started back on my audiobook again. So it's been a real game changer for me in terms of reading. And so I wanted to share with you today a few series that I listen to on audiobook and why I think that they are really well suited for audiobook listening. So the first series is, of course, going to be all of the Robin Hobb books in the overarching series that is Realm of the Elderlings. So I've listened to the Farseer, the Live Ship Traders, the Rainwild Chronicles, and the Tawny Man trilogy. I've listened to them all on audiobook, and I absolutely love them. All the way up to Dragonhaven are available on Scribd for download. So if you are interested in the Robin Hobb books, that's where I've been listening to them. They stop at Dragonhaven. Now, thankfully, my library has the next two. But yeah, so anyways, with that aside, if you aren't familiar with Robin Hobb's books, they are this incredible fantasy series. So there are kind of two separate arcs going on that all kind of connect into one, that start with the Farseer trilogy, and then that is going to be like Fitz and the Fool, and that carries on to the Tawny Man trilogy, and then I think the last one is called the Fitz and the Fool trilogy. The other two kind of in between are the Rainwild Chronicles and the Live Ship Traders, and that kind of follows people in Beantown and the Rainwilds, whereas the Farseer trilogy is set in Buck and the Buck Duchy, and it is fantastic. So they are really action-packed, and I feel like because I've been listening to them on audiobook, I have like a sense of the characters from the way that they are narrated that I don't know that I would have developed as quickly with the written books. I look forward to eventually going back and reading them in physical format, because I do own them, but I have really liked, so the Farseer narrator is really good, so I loved listening to his voice. Now it changes with the Tawny Man trilogy, and I believe that that same narrator narrates the Fitz and the Fool books, so that was a little hard to kind of transition because they pronounce things a little differently, but once I got past some of the pronunciation, I still really enjoyed listening to them with the new narrator. The Live Ship Traders and the Rainwild Chronicles have the same female narrator, so they are narrated by somebody different, but she does an excellent job, and I think she really brings the characters to life, and I would absolutely recommend them. I think that audiobooks, especially with something as detailed and long as this kind of overarching fantasy series, an audiobook is a great way to kind of read through them and to not kind of just get stuck on one book. So I enjoy them because I'm not a really fast reader, and so I would not be able to read the full trilogy or the full quartet in the same amount of time that I could listen to it, and so I would get kind of bogged down in the book. So I really love being able to listen to them and enjoy kind of getting immersed in it. And let me tell you, when you're listening to somebody talk about dragons, it's really hard to care that you're commuting and that you're in traffic. The second one is the Cormoran Strike books. So this is the series by Robert Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling, and it is a mystery novel series. So the first one is the Cuckoos Calling. I did not listen to that one on audiobook. I read it. I still enjoyed the physical format. This is one where I think you could go either way. I did listen to the other two books on audiobook and absolutely adore the narrator. He's so good. He really brings Cormoran Strike to life. He has such a great voice for Strike. And I feel like this is one of those things where like I get even more excited and engrossed and like trying to figure it out with the audiobook, because it's just so, for me, audiobooks feel like really intense sometimes, and I feel like especially with mystery novels, they're super intense. and this one just does a really good job of building the intensity with the way that it's read, and I feel like he has good pacing. Now, I always listen to mine on 1.5 or 1.25 times, but I do still feel like the Cormoran Strike ones, because I've had to listen to those on CD, so you can't speed them up. I still feel like he has a good pacing on the books, and it just makes them a joy to read. Like I said, they are mystery novels, so they follow, each book follows a different kind of case that Robin and Cormoran are following, and this whole kind of overarching story about Cormoran and Robin and kind of the greater relationships and kind of ties they have around them. So yeah, it's very interesting, and I think much more intense in a audiobook. The next one I feel like I have talked about and talked about and talked about, and that is the In Drawn in War series. Currently only 2 books have been released. The next one is coming out in October, and I hope they have an audiobook for it, because the audiobook narrator has been phenomenal. So this is a story about a Princess Haley, who has turned gun runner, and then something happens back home and she becomes basically the heir to the throne, and so she is hunted down and brought back to her home planet to really assume this role. And it's a lot of political intrigue and serious badassery, and I have loved listening to the audiobooks because, again, it makes it more intense and I feel really in the story. And I just think she does really great voices for the characters as well. I believe the narrator is Indian and the main character is Indian, so I thought that was good, and also it just brings to life the character a lot more. And the last one is kind of an honorable mention, and that is the Paradox series by Rachel Bach. Those are amazing sci-fi books, much in the thread of the In Drawn in War series. The Paradox books follow a mercenary who takes this job on this ship that's supposed to be really dangerous, but she's really just sort of a guard, and kind of what greater mystery is involved in that. She gets kind of tied up in these plots in the universe, and there's something mysterious going on that the greater universe doesn't know about, that she gets really involved with in an unexpected way. And it's very fast-paced, very action-packed again. The reason this one's just an honorable mention is because Hachette Audio never produced the third one on audiobook. So there are 3 books in the trilogy. They're all out. The first 2 were produced and are really great. Now, I will say the audiobook narrator reads it really slow, so I think this one I ended up cranking it up to 2 times speed because she reads so slowly. But I did still feel like it made the books more intense, and I really experienced them. And I like to listen to sci-fi books and fantasy books on audio because I feel like I get a better grasp on the world because I'm like hearing it and kind of thinking about it, and I can create a better picture with like the sounds and everything. And this one I just think was done beautifully. The narrator's great aside from the slow reading, so make sure you can get it on a way to speed it up. But I would love to see Hachette put out the third one, because I think that was a drawback. When I went to read the third book, I was really interested in it, but it took me a lot longer to read it because I didn't feel the excitement and the kind of involvedness of the audiobook. So those are a couple of series that I think are really fantastic on audiobook. I would definitely recommend all of them. I will have a link down below to Scribd if you're interested in that, because like I said, the Robin Hobb books are definitely available there. The other ones I did get from my library, Overdrive and Hoopla and on CD, so they're definitely available. Check your library for audiobooks. And yeah, I would love to hear some series that you recommend on audiobook down below in the comments, and if you've listened to any of these and you have an opinion, I would love to hear that as well. And I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Bye!